Hello YouTube. Today on the Naughty Librarian I am doing another book unhaul. Also my wine looks silly because it's iced tea. I was out of wine, but I'm also a fancy lady, so I'm drinking out of my wine glass still. Ooh. Alright, time to make shelf space again. I just get a lot of books. You know, I get ARCs, or I get them from library book sales, or I get them from friends, or I get them a lot of places. I get these for very, very cheap or almost free. So in my defense, I didn't like waste a lot of money on these things. Most of these I got for very, very cheap or free. So it just comes to a point where you're just like, you know what? I read that, but I didn't really love it. Or like, the window for me reading that has passed. There's like a lot of reasons why these are going, but hey, I need to make room on my shelves for a bunch of new books that I am super excited about, so out with the old and in with the new. First book I am unhauling is Ship It by Britta London, and this is the ARC. I got it at like an event for free, and I met Britta. I like Britta. Britta's an awesome person, but I read the book, and like I enjoyed it. It wasn't like my favorite thing I've ever read, and it's not like a book I still think about from time to time. Like I think I gave it like 3.5 stars, so it's good. Like I enjoyed it. It has like cool queer representation in it, but ultimately it's a book that's not really my fave, so I'm gonna donate this. Someone can find it and it's signed, so hey, someone may find this at a library book sale and be very happy they found it, so it's going to go off into the world. Also leaving my shelf is What I Want You to See by Catherine Linka. I was just basically sent multiple copies of this from different publishers, so I think they didn't like talk to each other because I just got multiple copies. So no tea, no shade. I just have multiple copies of it, so I don't need this one. But I guess it's about like art school and like an art like copying scam. I don't really know. It's not necessarily a book I would like be interested on its own, but it was nice they sent it to me. Also leaving my shelf is 96 Words for Love. This is by Rachel Roy and Ava Dash, and I love the concept of this. Let me see. It is a retelling of Shakuntala and Dushyanta, which is from Indian mythology. So I'm like, ooh, a modern retelling of Indian mythology stories? Yes, that sounds amazing. But it also is a contemporary romance. So, a contemporary YA romance, let me preface that. It's very hard for me to get like into a YA contemporary. There are a few authors who write YA contemporary that I genuinely like, and I'll probably read anything they write, but it's very difficult to get me interested. However, this sounds like an amazing concept, and I want someone to get it and read it and fall in love with it, because honestly it sounds really dope. But yeah, I mean, I don't see myself picking it up anytime soon, and I want this to be read by somebody, so it's leaving. Also leaving my shelf is Want and Ruse, which is book 1 and 2 of the series. This one is an ARC I got for free, so hey, not wasting any money here. This one I met Cindy Pond, so I do have this one signed, and I did read Want. I read this one, and the cover is dope. It has a very cool concept, but ultimately I didn't think it was great. I have the second book, but I don't really see myself getting back into the story after this much time, so I think my window has passed. But there are fun sci-fi set in Shanghai stories, so someone will read these and have a good time with it. And this one's signed, so they might like really find a find, but I wasn't super into it. I think I gave it like 3 stars. There were some moments in here that were really cool, but ultimately it wasn't my favorite thing. So hey, book 1 and 2, going out of here together. Also leaving is Nothing But Sky by Amy Trueblood. And honestly, this one was like a little bit of a guilt buy because I was at an event and this author was there, and I was like, the author was really fun in their panel, and then I also kind of was intrigued by the plot of the book. And then after like time has gone by, I'm just like, I am no longer intrigued by the plot of the book. So it's one of those impulse buys that I was just like, oh well. But it's kind of cool. It's like World War I planes, so like the biplanes and everything, and like these people trying to be fighter pilots. So it has like cool stuff going on. It is historical YA fiction. Again, not something I go out of my way for, but there's a lot of people who do. So if you're into that and you want to see like cool, like plain action, this might be fun for you. For me, I think it's an impulse buy that I have now regretted. Yeah, this should come as no surprise to anybody that I'm getting rid of The Mister by E.L. James. I did do a video called Dumpster Fires that featured this book, so it's been on my shelf long enough. It needs to leave. I'm surprised I haven't got rid of it. Well, no, like I know why I haven't. It's because like the one time E.L. James came to town, I was like, okay, I'm gonna meet her. Let's do this. So I do have it signed, and it's signed to me, but it's so hot garbage that I can't like stand to have it on my shelf even if it is signed. So that was the only reason it stuck around for this long, because it was signed to me. But honestly, like, girl, this is bad. It needs to go. Also leaving my shelf is Bride of the Sea by Emma Hamm. I got this for free at a book swap party, and I'm like, honestly, cover goals. The cover's gorgeous. I love the cover. And I was actually buddy reading this with Jean from Jean Bookish Thoughts, and whoo, is this bad? It was really bad. I don't think I DNF'd it about like 40% or so, because it was just like terrible. It was so terribly bad that I could not stand it 1 minute longer, frankly. Like, even the sex was mediocre. It was very poorly written. So yeah, dope cover, mediocre contents. This one's going. Another book I happened to DNF was The Wicked Deep by Shay Earnshaw. And honestly, this book is gorgeous. Like, it has a holographic cover. I actually have the first edition, so it has like this foil print on the naked book. Like, style-wise, goals. Like, it's gorgeous looking. However, I DNF this at about 40%. 40% is my minimum. I try to get to 50, but if I get to 40 and I really hate it, I cut it. So I did read about 40% of this, and I really, really wanted to love it because I met Shay Earnshaw. This is signed, and I really wanted to like this. And there were some parts of it that were kind of cool. However, the vast majority of the story was not cool. So yeah, I gave up. And if I'm gonna give up on it, I don't see myself ever trying to finish this in the future, so it should just leave my shelf. Also leaving my shelf is Get Even by Gretchen McNeil. This one I believe they are making a series out of right now. Part of me still wants to keep it to read it, but the other part of me is just like, bitch, you ain't never gonna watch that series. Like, let's be real. So I'm just like, you're right, inner self. I'm not gonna watch that series. Why do I need to read this? So it sounds kind of cool. It's like revengey, kind of dark and spooky, but it is YA, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I've read some really good dark twisty YAs, but I'm not feeling it. I want to, but like I just like don't. It was one of those ones I just got at a festival because the author was there, and I was like, oh, I love Gretchen. I'll get this book and have her sign it. And I just don't want to read it. There you go. It's probably very good. They're making a TV series out of it. I'm just not gonna read it. Also leaving my shelf is the rest of the Monstrumologist series. So I have Curse of the Wendigo, The Final Descent, and Isle of Blood. I collected all of these over the years at library book sales, and this one's actually the Ark, which I'm like, oh, it's from 2010, the Ark, and I love old Arks. But let's be real, I read The Monstrumologist, and while I really, really liked it, and I always planned on continuing on with the series, it's been a couple years, and I still have not continued on with the series. I don't think it's going to happen at this point. I am keeping The Monstrumologist because I did like it. However, it ended in a way that it felt like a complete story. Like, these are more like an episodic type series, so I don't really feel like I'm losing something by not finishing the series. Like, The Monstrumologist was his own book. It's done. It was his own story. And it doesn't need to be continued. So these ones are going to go back out into circulation. Someone else can get them. Hey, this one's the Ark. So there you go. Also leaving my shelf is Buzzkill by David Sosnowski. And this was randomly sent to me by the publisher. And by the way, I have no idea how this publisher like found my information. I've never heard about 47 North, the publisher of this, before. And there's no other information besides it came from 47 North. And I was like, how do they know me? what is happening? So it was an unrequested book they sent. However, they sent the final copy. And it does have some cool like vibes. It's kind of like hackers and like AI and stuff. So the right reader will probably really like this. It's not something I requested. And I just kind of got it randomly. And I don't really see myself reading it. So it's going. Okay, so I got a boatload of mass markets. I just plucked them all. They're all kind of romancy and they're all ones I just don't want anymore. So I'm gonna try to like speed round through this one because this is a lot. First things first, Lone Rider by Lindsay McKenna. It's an arc I got and it's a cowboy one and I'm just like, I'm not jibing with cowboys. I don't want to fuck with chaps, okay? Like I'm not into cowboys as much as like they seem kind of rough and tumble. I'm just like, I have no sexual desires for cowboys. So, yeah, I'm not feeling it. Another arc I had was The Only Thing by Marie Hart. This one's like, ooh, I'm so dramatic and I'm a fighter. And then, like, they're trying to fight for their relationship and it's gonna be moody. And I'm just like, take your drama elsewhere. I'm, like, not feeling it. Also leaving The Last Man on Earth by Tracy Ann Warren. I think I just got it because Tracy Ann Warren was like a romance novelist that I had heard of before and I found it at a library book sale. And also this cover art, I've seen it on so many books. It's like cover art that they just recycle a lot. But yeah, I don't care. It's some type of, I don't know, I'm assuming it's like businessy kind of romance. I don't know. I have no interest anymore. I'm getting rid of Bitten and its sequel Stolen by Kelly Armstrong. I read Bitten in 2019 and like it was all right. It was very problematic actually in a lot of ways and there were so many plot holes that I'm just like part of me wants to continue it because like there was parts of this that were really good and then a lot of it that was problematic and bad. And then I'm like, do I want to continue? I just had to ask myself honestly and I'm like, there's a lot of books I can read. I don't need to read this one, so these are going. But hey, so I'll get book 1 and 2. I'm also getting rid of 2 books by Rachel Gibson. I have Not Another Bad Date and True Love and Other Disasters. Mainly because these covers are shit. Have you seen them? They're terrible. They look like bad indie theater posters. They're so bad that I'm like, I can't take you seriously as a book. They're so bad. I know, don't judge a book by its cover, but honestly, these covers are shit. I can't deal with them. Also leaving my shelf is Just Like Heaven by Julia Quinn. I read this in 2019. Absolutely hated it. It was so dull. The dullest book. There was like 50 pages about soup. It's goddamn soup. Like, I can't. And honestly, there wasn't even enough smut in it. And I don't like it. I read this and I didn't like it. It's leaving my shelf. I also read and did not like Highlander Ever After by Paula Quinn. It was just obnoxious. I hated the heroine in it. And I stopped reading about 60% of the way through. So I gave this a good effort. And I did not like it. It was very bad. So it is leaving. It was on my worst books of ooh, bookmark. Okay, so it's leaving. I dislike it. I had no fun with this. It was very dull. It's leaving my shelf. Also leaving my shelf is Guilty Pleasures by Laurel K. Hamilton. I read it for a book club in 2019 and like honestly is 90s AF, which is kind of cool in like a retro way, but like I was not that into it. Like I thought it was okay, if a little bit dated, but not enough that it made me really want to get into this series. You know what I mean? It was too dated for me, but a lot of people love this series, but I'm gonna get rid of the first book of it. Also leaving my shelf is No Earls Allowed by Shanna Galen. I got the arc of this a while ago, it's 2018 arc, and it was like okay. It was like this lady with an orphanage and this guy who like refused to have intercourse, but he would like do everything but, so he like mouth fucked this town, and I was like, oh my gosh. So it was a lot of like stuff that I was like meh about, but I did read it. And overall, I'm meh about it, so I'm like, it can leave my shelf. I did read it, and I didn't hate it, but it just wasn't great. Also leaving my shelf is Hard as a Rock by Christine Warren. I mainly got it because I'm like, hard as a rock. Like, the puns are killing it here. It's some type of, like, I don't know, paranormal romance, some guardians and, like, demony shit, I'm assuming. I got it for free. I'm not, like, losing anything here, and honestly, like, I don't care. I'm over the pun. This also should come as no surprise that it's leaving my shelf, which is Dark Fever by Karen Marie Moning. I legit hated this. Again, I did that video called Dumpster Fires. It was about The Mister by E.L. James and Dark Fever by Karen Marie Moning. It is a dumpster fire of a book. I hate it intensely, and I know so many people love this series. I get it. I have the unpopular opinion. However, my opinion is very strong that I thought it was hot garbage. And I don't want it on my shelf. I was tricked by everybody. Alright, so that's all the mass markets. Let's get back into the rest of the books. We're gonna power through this. Also leaving my shelf is Reckless, which is The Petrified Flesh by Cornelia Funke. And I bought this just because of covers. It's like the petrified flesh. Ooh, it looks spooky. And like, it's got like a pattern. And I got this on sale for like a few bucks at like a clearance sale. So I was like, all right, cool. And honestly, I'm like, look at the pages. Like, why is this book printed so big? These are like mass market pages printed on big paper. So it's just like the formatting is stupid and I'm like not feeling it. And I just don't think I'm gonna read it. It's been on my shelf for years and I've still never read it. It just got a cool title. Also leaving my shelf is Sizzle and Burn by Jane Ann Krentz. I got it at a library book sale. It's supposed to be, it sounds kind of good. Like the premise, the Arcane Society. It's like, she's like a paranormal investigator. And I was like, yeah, and she's gonna get some. Okay. I love books like that. However, it sat on my shelf for years and I still have never opened it. It's going. I'm making my peace with it. Also leaving is The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. I missed my window. I'll be honest, I got a library book sale for like 50 cents. I'm not losing a lot of money here. But this book has been out for a long time, and that what makes me nervous. Because, like, I think this came out in 2012. I'm gonna check that. Hold on. Oh, shit, this came out in 2008? Yeah, I have low hopes now. I don't really like the premise, but I have heard good things about it in general. But, like, 2008 was, like, an interesting time for YA literature. I think Twilight had just come out. And a lot of dystopians came out after that some were good at the time, but like if you read it now, you're just like, oh, this is bad. So I feel like I've missed the window. And honestly, the premise does not sound that fascinating to me anymore, so it's going. I'm also gonna get rid of Blood of Wonderland by Colleen Oakes. This is a series I've always been interested in because like covers, gorgeous, love them. However, I think this is like book 2. And I don't have any of the other books. I don't have any plans to really like buy the other books. I got this randomly at a library book sale. And while I am interested in the series, I don't see myself really picking it up. And honestly, again, typography, this is like triple space and huge font. Like this is short. It physically looks like a middle grade book. So that worries me. But yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen because I don't have the first book. I don't see myself getting it. Also leaving my shelf is Nelium by Claire Delicia. And okay, hot tea for a second. I was quiet about this book for a long time. This was sent to me because I was supposed to be on a blog tour for it. And I had to pull out the blog tour because I was like, listen, I legit hate this. Like it is one of the worst things I've ever read. I cannot honestly, in good conscience, say something nice about it. Like I can't be on the blog. I'm sorry. So, it's literally one of the worst things I've ever read. I'm sorry. It just is. I had to pull out of a blog tour and I felt really bad about it. But I'm like, I can't lie and say it's good. And there's nothing I can like redeem for it. It's like painfully obvious the whole time. And like, it's supposed to be about this girl with like this magic knife. Which mind you, she loses immediately. She has a magic knife and she loses it in chapter 1, never gets it back. Why is that in the blurb? She doesn't have the goddamn knife. She's not even looking for it. What the fuck? Anyway, we don't need to get into a rant here. I just really, really dislike this book and I didn't want to talk about it. But like, here's my 2 cents. I really disliked it. Also leaving my shelf is The Rook by Daniel O'Malley. Ooh, this one. Oh, like, I had such high hopes for this because it seems like a book I'm totally gonna love. A lot of my friends love it. And then I read it, I'm like, this is pretentious AF. Like, it has a cool concept, but I found the writing to be very pretentious. And, like, I hate that feeling of pretentiousness while reading a book that, like, it made it an unpleasant reading experience. So, I'm sure it's a good book. The concept is cool. It's just that I didn't particularly enjoy the writing style. So, mind you, I have the unpopular opinion, a lot of people really like this book. But for me personally, I found it pretentious, and I don't want it on my shelf because I'm like, I didn't really like it. But someone else can find this at a library book sale or wherever I donate it to and be very happy they found it. Also leaving my shelf is After by Anna Todd. This one I did get for free from my old job. Okay, hot tea. Like, I worked on this movie, and it was the bane of my existence. For so long, I really hated it so much, but someone gave me the book. They're like, hey, we have extra copies, do you want one? I'm like, yes, I do. And then I'm just like, no, I don't anymore, because that movie was the bane of my existence. This book is just like about a toxic ass relationship. Like, I skimmed it a little bit. I'm like, this is hot garbage toxicness. Cannot mess with. It was like a bad period of my life that is around this story. So I'm just like, it needs to go. Just for my own sanity's sake, it needs to go. Also leaving my shelf, sadly kind of, is When Dimple Met Rishi by Sandhya Menon. And I got no beef with this book. Honestly, like, I met Sandhya, this is signed, I had every intention of reading this, and now it's gotten to the point where I'm just like, I keep seeing it on my shelf, and I'm just like, I ain't never gonna read that. Like, I've just come to terms with it, that, like, my own failings as a reader is just like, I should read that, it's probably very good, but like, I don't ever see it really happening at this point. It's been too long, you know what I mean? It's like past its expiration date for me. So while this is very good and it is signed, someone will get it and read it and be very happy. But I think I originally got this at a library book sale too. No, I got this at clearance. I got this on clearance at Barnes & Noble. So I didn't spend a lot of money on it to start with. But yeah, I'm sure it's great. I've passed the window where I want to read it. The last books I am getting rid of are Warcross and Wildcard, both by Marie Lu, and little controversial. These are very popular. However, I have literally read everything Marie Lu has ever written. These are my least favorite. Yeah, Warcross, which is not the tea. Like, it has a really cool concept. I just didn't really feel like it was executed super well. Like, it could have been better. However, I did kind of like Wildcard. I did like this one pretty well, which is odd because I don't want to just keep book 2 of the series. I didn't like it that much that I can't live without it, so I'm like, I want to give them out together. They're both signed, but it's just, like, the series was just not killing it for me. Like, let's be real, anything else Marie Lu writes in the future, I'm totally gonna read and probably love, but these ones were not doing it for me. It does have a lot of cool things going for it, though. It's like augmented reality and video games. So it has some good things going for it. However, it just wasn't my favorite of her works. Like, I've read better things she's written. So yeah, these ones are gonna go. All right, I've cut the cord with these books. A lot of them are just things I've read and I don't enjoy, or I've passed my window of wanting to read it, or there's lots of reasons why I'm getting rid of everything. And only like a few books I had beef with. So most of these I'm like parting as friends, I think. More than likely, by the time this airs, all these books are gonna be gone. Like, I don't want to like have them just clutter up my house for a long time. So chances are all these are gonna already be gone. But if you want to make a case for something, in the comments down below, let me know which ones are actually really super dope and I should totally keep. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like. And if you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye!